pressured into a threesome by my boyfriend and enjoyed it, but not because of him. So I, 20 have been with my boyfriend, 22 male. For 3 years he's known I was bi since we started dating and had never really said anything about it till last year. After he met my college friend Maya. Maya is also bi and very beautiful, but while honest about her experience, isn't one to brag. When in a group playing drinking games last year, Maya opened up about a threesome she had before, and I guess that's when my boyfriend got the idea. I had been against it when he first brought it up, but eventually he wore me down. When I finally said yes, he immediately suggested Maya, which looking back was his aim from the start. When we approached Maya, she was down and we had made plans that worked for everyone's schedule. Maya texted me separately multiple times to make sure I was on board, and comfortable as she put it, just didn't see my style. I told her I was on board and to not worry, that I and my boyfriend had talked about it. When the day came, she surprisingly took the lead, which I don't think my boyfriend was expecting either. I'll spare you the details, but she made sure the focus was me and actually instructed my boyfriend on what to do. If he tried to focus on her, she gently redirected him to me, saying things like, "Nu, look how pretty your girlfriend is when you do this." She barely let him touch her without asking me, "Do you want to do?" She would praise me a lot, though out something I didn't even realize I liked. She also checked on both of us through the whole thing. I honestly think it was the best time me and my boyfriend ever had. The craziest part is when she did her solo session with me, and I had never felt anything as good as that. After it was over, she did what she called aftercare and made us comfortable. I don't remember me or boyfriend falling asleep, but when we woke up, breakfast was made. Maya is a chef professionally, so it was amazing she had also left. As a notice, she had worked in the afternoon and was sorry she couldn't stay. I feel like the dynamic between me and my boyfriend had changed since, and I know we have to talk about it, but I don't even know what to say. My point being, I enjoyed intimacy with Maya more than I ever had with my boyfriend. I didn't want to go super into detail, but Maya was mostly touching me and was focused on me. I also think my boyfriend is disappointed he wasn't the focus. I also think he was surprised how much he liked being told what to do. My boyfriend beat me to it and has texted me, "We need to talk. We are planning on meeting up at Starbucks after my shift tomorrow." When we met, he apologized. He said he never saw himself convincing me as manipulation, as we had talked about being more adventurous in the bedroom before, and he thought I just needed time. He told me he did enjoy it a lot, but it wasn't what he imagined it would be, and was feeling insecure because I had been so responsive to Maya. It wasn't until after it was over he started feeling inadequate as a partner. I'll admit I was a little heated because I told him for the past year something like this would happen, and that 3-ways, especially ones not talked about in depth and hard boundaries set. This happens. I was willing to work through this if he was willing to work on his insecurity, but then he asked me to drop Maya. I absolutely refused. Maya is one of the few friends I have in the city, and we're very close even before all this. I explained to him that distancing from Maya would not fix his insecurities. We went back and forth for a while before he tried to give me AIDS me or her speech. I just left him there. I'm hurt and angry with myself it even got to this point. Like, how in the hell did I get here? And I know you guys made sure to point out all the red flags, but he was my first serious boyfriend. 3 years are hard to see past that, I guess. I called Maya after I got home and explained everything. She tried to apologize, explaining she had had a small thing for me when we first met but grew into more just a friendship. When me and now ex-boyfriend approached her, she was excited to, in her words, effort out of her system. She apologized again, saying she didn't want for us to break up or for this situation to be more than it was, but I reassured her none of this is her fault. It looks like I'm going to make a move on Maya now, but I'm not sure if she still had the same feelings for me. And now, on to the next story. Story 2. Lawyers who read wills to families. What is the most bizarre thing you have read? My grandfather, a Vietnam War veteran, suffered from IPST. It got worse in his later years, and he would often isolate himself from the rest of the family, often hiding out in his bedroom when visitors were over. My grandmother would often tell us stories about how he had inherited a significant amount of money from his father way back when. She said that in their younger years he often spent his inheritance on luxurious dates and trips. After returning from war, he spent the remaining money on a house in which he and my grandmother settled and raised their children. Fast forward to his death, just a couple months back, and we found out he had written a will. Even my grandmother didn't know about it. We all had assumed he wouldn't have much to leave, since most of the money he had saved from his time in the military was going towards taking care of him as he was placed in a care facility as his PIST worsened. His will told of a warehouse in Township, Michigan that held a large collection of vintage cars. He said that the warehouse was passed down from his father, and he had all the documents to prove that he was the owner of some type of warehouse. His will estimated that the cars would be worth in excess of $2 million total. The money from his collection would be split between his 4 children. We had no idea this collection ever existed. My father and his 3 brothers had all grown up in Plano, Texas. None of us had ever been to Michigan before. Even our mother couldn't recall a time of our father ever having even gone to visit Michigan. After a long debate, my father and I, the only ones who could manage to find some time off from work, agreed to fly out to Michigan to see this collection firsthand. After a few $1,000s spent on plane tickets, hotels, we finally arrived at the warehouse my grandfather owned. It was a rundown warehouse, but it was tucked away within a compound of other warehouses that seemed to be otherwise well taken care of. Finally, code in hand, my father punched the numbers into the keypad and the giant door began to rise. What was inside was beyond words. There was absolutely nothing, besides a few homeless people that managed to sneak in through a hole under a fence. We assumed he made the whole thing up in his mind. And now, on to the next story, story 3. What did you swear you'd never get into but now you're addicted to it? My girlfriend has always been more privileged than me, so she never knew what it was like to be flat out broke. If she needed cash, she'd just ask her parents, but I would have to look for loose change in the couch. But things quickly changed during my senior year of high school when my friend challenged my knowledge about something I was passionate about. We each put $5 and whoever was right would walk away with 10. I needed my $5 to buy lunch at school, but I was so confident that I was blindsided by the risk of me starving for the whole day. Luckily I won, and the rush that came with it was nothing short of extraordinary. I had no idea there was an easy way to get money. I thought I would be stuck with my hand digging in the couch for the rest of my life. From then on, I'd try my luck with some other friends, and my winning streak was far better than my losing streak. I was obsessed, but I could control myself. I knew when to put my money where my mouth was. Because of the things we would put money on, we would bet on who could eat a pie the fastest without using their hands, who would get a girlfriend first, and have three-legged races and predict who would win. They were usually a game of chances, but I assessed the situation and got a pretty good idea of what the outcome would be, so my chances of winning were always high. Over the years though, my way of earning cash became more advanced. Instead of playing with friends, I started playing online through an app called Koshie because it finally became legal in the USA. It was easier to earn money that way because I could put as much money on whatever and whenever I wanted in order to win more money. Every day I tried my luck on different things such as which team would draft Bronny James and when the 6 would release. These were the more riskier ones, but I made most of my money on the easier ones, like Ozempic being prescribed for weight loss in the beginning of 2024, and Taylor Swift holding the top 10 spots on the Billboard Hot 100 with her new album. It got to the point where all the money added up and I had cash to spare. I decided to take a page out of my soon-to-be-in-law's book and spoil the F out of my girlfriend. I bought her gift baskets, book series, matching sets of jewelry, and other things I knew she liked. Her smile when she received the gifts brightened my day, and that alone motivated me to continue my hobby. My life felt complete. But I was totally blindsided when my girlfriend confronted me a month later. She laid out all the gifts I got her in front of me and asked how I could afford everything. I didn't have the balls to tell her about my hobby because she would have malfunctioned. She lived a pampered princess lifestyle, so she never had to do anything to earn money. She wouldn't have understood where I was coming from. Instead, I lied and said I was working overtime. I celebrated when she laughed it off and continued the day as usual because I thought she believed me. But the next day, I came back from work and found her packing all her clothes into her suitcase. I asked her what was happening, and in just seconds I was down on my knees begging her to not leave me. She said she knew I was a liar because I was coming home at the same time every day, so there was no way I was working overtime. She told me she was going back home to her parents because at least they trusted her. Then she said everything was really sketchy to her, so she thought I was dealing. And that's why I couldn't tell her the truth. The final blow came when she yelled that she didn't want my gifts because they were bought with dirty money. I got back up and explained that I was going to tell her everything if she let me. She asked me if it was going to be the truth this time, and I swore that it would be. I was scared that she would judge me for my hobby, but I was more scared that she would leave me, so I worked up the courage to show her clothes she on my phone and explain that I was making extra money just by making educated guesses on events I had knowledge on. She didn't say anything for a while and scrawled on the app instead. I was too nervous to even breathe because I had no idea how this would turn out. All I could do was watch her like a hawk and wait for her to make a move. But she surprised me when she made a trade on an event. There were Rotten Tomato markets, and she made an educated guess on what the score of the movie Challengers would be on the weekend of the release. She turned to face me and smiled, saying she would pay me back when she won. She then said she had seen a lot of people talking about how excited they were for the release, so she knew it would have good ratings, even after all that. The only thing I managed to say was asking her if she was still mad at me. She said no, but I shouldn't lie to her again. After that, it became a common thing for us to use Ulchi together. She got good at it quickly, but my years of experience still made me better than her. I wasn't willing to put my money on that though, but we are going to put money on TikTok getting banned because I hate that app.